Welcome to the CEN show, where we present the voice of the community. The Community Education Network.com is a platform to aid the effort of self and collective improvement. Next Wednesday, July 28th, the CEN show will have a break in action of presenting wonderful guests and will resume on Wednesday, August 4th. On Monday, July 26th, Conscious Corner will have author Terry C. Carney Sr. to discuss his book, Last Man Standing. I am your host, Rasaki Mascani. Tonight's guest is Willie Davis of the NBRPA. He's the president of the Dallas chapter in Texas. I spoke with Mr. Davis on a few occasions, and I have great admiration for his passion to help the youth and people in general. Mr. Davis, welcome, and please tell us about yourself, and then you can begin your presentation.
Okay, thank you for that introduction. I'm gonna shorten this up just to kind of give you a brief synopsis of how I've evolved from then to now. As we were just talking, the professor and I attended college in Texas at a university, it's University of North Texas now. And we actually competed during that time in the Missouri Valley Conference, and of course we got a lot of good exposure because there were a lot of really good players that came out of that conference. And I had a good college career, and was drafted to play basketball in the NBA by the Chicago Bulls, and also was drafted by the Kentucky Colonels of the ABA. And the ABA had just started the year before I graduated. I graduated in 1968. ABA started in 1967. And my limited thinking at that particular time, I processed that probably I'd have a better chance of playing in the NBA, in the ABA than I would in the NBA. Not knowing anything about the dynamics, and I'm gonna shorten this up here because you don't want to hear this. It's a long story. And of course, I was going to wait until a draft came out in the NBA, but I chose to. I was going to wait for it, but this coach showed up shortly after our season ended that spring of 1968. And he was from the Kentucky Colonels, and he just showed up one day and found me and offered me an opportunity to come play for the Colonels, of which I promptly turned down. I told him I was going to wait for the NBA draft to come out. And of course, he dealing, and this is right before agents came about. And this man he was also the coach. His name was Gene Rhodes. He was the coach of the Colonels and also the general manager. And I'd been broke at that point all my life, so being broke didn't really bother me. So I wasn't really that excited about him trying to appease me with money. But he did leave a threat with me that he was going on an East Coast trip. He was headed on he was going on the East Coast, and he was going to give the money to the guys that would sign with him. So again, that didn't bother me because, I was on a scholarship. I was eating 3 meals a day, had a place to stay, the whole bit. Anyway, he left, and it just so happened I was doing my student teaching right there on the campus at the time. And he showed back up exactly 2 weeks later. And long story short, I ended up signing a contract to play with the Kentucky Colonels. And not knowing anything about the history of the ABA, not knowing anything about the status of the owners of the ABA, that they were all helter-skelter, but I got involved in that fray. And I never even reached out, even after the Bulls knew I had signed with the Colonels, but they still drafted me anyway. And but I never even had any serious conversation with them because I was already under contract. So that little journey lasted really from a monetary standpoint for 3 years. And the team that I ended up after the Carroll contract, I ended up here in Dallas with the Chaparrals. That's what they were called, the Dallas Chaparrals. They're the San Antonio Spurs now, the same team. And but they ended up moving from Dallas to San Antonio, and they wanted me to come there and remake the team again. I couldn't figure that out. So as a result of all of that, I decided that I'm gonna call their bluff and they can call mine, and that's what we did. They said, well, you know, we're not, and then by the way, I was in the option year of my contract was in play. And so they didn't move and neither did I. And all these years later, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I got on with the rest of my life. And I think I'm so thankful every day that it happened that way because I began a new journey that led me to where I am now. That I learned what life was all about. I learned that you have to work hard to get what you are working for. And around 1992, I believe it was, the NBRPA was formed by 5 guys: Oscar Robertson, Dave Bean, Dave Cowens, Archie Clark, and Dave DeBushy. And I'm jumping to that because that takes me to where I am now, which is what I'm about. I'm about looking out the windshield, not in the rearview mirror. So they would send letters out from, you know, hey, you know, this organization, you need to join us and, you know, and come and, you know, be a part of it. And I throw the letters in the trash whenever I got them. I wasn't angry with anyone. I was through with basketball. I wasn't angry with it, but I had moved on with my life. I had a family and was about trying to, you know, develop a lifestyle for myself that I would be pleased with and take care of my family. And so I finally got involved in 2004. I got involved with the NBRPA, which stands for National Basketball Retired Players Association. And it's a very, it's an organization that's got a lot of teeth to it if guys understood the logistics of how to make it work. And I'll get into that a little bit later. And you can stop me, any questions you have or anything you want to inject, don't let me ramble here. You can jump in anytime you want to. So I went to Denver, Colorado. I got invited to Denver, Colorado. It was more or less an expense paid. It was All-Star Weekend in 2004. And come up and we would sign some autographs and they would give guys a little bit of money and we'd have a good time, and we did. And when I went and I saw a lot of the guys that I had played against in college, a lot of the guys that you know, I knew from the ABA, and it was a wonderful time. And that's how I got involved in the NBRPA. And I was just kind of, you know, a lackadaisical member for a number of years. And then I began to see some synergies there that we could develop a platform. If you know, the guy, I'm talking about we, meaning the former players, could develop a platform there that could be used for the benefit of others, serving communities, serving the underserved. And so I kind of, you know, just kind of went to some of the meetings locally. Our chapter didn't start right then. Our chapter didn't. I think they had a chapter in LA, Houston, and I don't know any other chapters at this time, but I know LA had a very prominent chapter, so did Houston. And when I really got serious about it, the guy that was the president decided that he didn't want to do it anymore, and he was just going to drop it in the middle of the year. And so I said, well, man, you know, I think we could really do some good community service under this umbrella. And so nobody would take it. So I ended up in the C. So that's where I've been for the last 5 years. And that's what I want to talk about now. So what we do, the organization is about, the national organization used to be in New York, and they moved to Chicago about 5 or 6 years ago. And that's where the national office is now. And it encompasses all of the, the ABA and the NBA merged. So therefore, it's not really an ABA per se or an NBA. It's all under the same umbrella right now. However, as far as benefits and all that, the ABA players did not reap any of those benefits that NBA players reap. They promised that they would include that, but they did not. So at any rate, I wasn't even thinking about that because I had been very prudent with my life. And I knew that if I was blessed, might live to be an older man. So I made preparations for that. And I started a long time ago. I didn't start when I was 50 years, 60 years old. I started some time ago to be prepared, to have a value to others at this season in my life. And so the chapter was here, the local chapter here. I took it over 5 years ago, and we actually just kind of sputtered along. One of the smartest things that I did, best decision that I could have made, is I developed an advisory board of men that knew the landscape of downtown Dallas, and they are men that can get indoors that I can't get in. I mean, might be able to peek through the window, but I can't get inside. Those men can get us. I knew that they could get us into these doors. So we began to hold fundraisers. All the money that we raise, we give it away. I mean, we put it back into the programming that we do. And we also support other charitable organizations. And that I believe is doing good work, is doing the kind of service that resonates with what I think should be done at this particular time. And so our board was, behind us 110%. So they put us in position to raise money. They would set us up with venues where they would let us have their venue for free. They had connections with sponsors that would provide us with food and drinks and stuff like that. So we were able to get money to continue to do the programming that we were doing that way. And that has continued up until now. And last year, when the pandemic hit, and I know this is a topic here that's, everybody has an opinion about it, and I don't bother anybody's opinion. I'll be transparent here and say that I wanted to live, so I took the 2 shots that I took both of the shots that was available to me. A lot of people don't take them, and that's your business. I don't beat anybody up for making their own personal decision. But anyway, I was looking for ways to be visible in the community and serve at the same time for those people that really felt that they wanted to know what their status was as far as the virus was concerned. And so there was a company that reached out to me from Silicon Valley, reached out to our organization, and it came to me through a brother named Lynn Elmore. You might have known Lynn Elmore. He does college basketball, played a long time in the NBA, does NCAA basketball right now on television. I don't know if he's in your market or not, but he's on the East Coast, and sometimes I see him in my area. And so he said, hey, this might be an opportunity for you to not have to spend any money and get some visibility for community service with your organization. So after about 10 or 12 Zoom calls, these people agreed to come here, and they did free coronavirus testing for anybody. We set up on the outside of, we did it a couple of times in shopping center. We went to the parking lot of a couple of churches. And it was, it was a way for me to do something at a time when really the country was shut down. And that's what I was looking for. I had often thought about, prior to this, how can I add value to our platform in a time like this? And so we did that, and actually we had some success with it, and then a lot of people stopped by, got tested, and they sent the test results at that time, came back within 72 hours. And so after that, I could see my board kind of getting a little tired of not having enough energy from the guys that make, I was about 40 something guys that live in this area that play professional basketball. And I have maybe 10, maybe 15 that's really actively involved. And so from that, I could sense that. And I said, I want to do something that we are spearheaded. We meaning the organization. We're not waiting for our advisory board to lead us on everything. We got to take some initiatives ourselves. So I thought about a golf course, and I don't even play golf. I lived on a golf course for 16 years. I collected a lot of golf balls, but I don't play. So I got with one of my board members, and I told him what I wanted to do, and we talked about it, and this was in December of last year. In January, we were full blast planning a golf tournament that we were planning on having in May 24th. We actually did have it. And it turned out to be man, it was just blew me out of the water, the success that we had. We raised quite a bit of money for quite a bit compared to what we had been raising. And was able to donate some money to my alma mater. A good friend of mine, Joe Green, played football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We went to college together, and his wife passed of breast cancer, and they about 4 or 5 years ago. So they started a memorial scholarship fund at the university in his wife's name. So we were able to go up Thursday before last, and we donated $10,000 to that scholarship fund. And tomorrow we'll make another donation to an organization that really don't need our money, but here again, we were trying to put together a platform that would resonate with people that we were trying to attract to come play golf. So we developed a partnership with the Dallas Mavericks, and they have a foundation, and the foundation does do exceptional work in a lot of the communities here in the Metroplex. So the money is not going to them; it's going to the foundation. For an example, during the freeze, they gave over $1 million to people that were in distress because of the freeze that we just had recently. You guys probably might not have heard about that, but it was a horrific freeze here for probably about 2 weeks. A lot of people were without power for a long time.
Yeah.
And pipes burst and all of that. So anyway, we're gonna do a little press conference tomorrow with the Mavericks, and all of this is a part of my plan to continue to build this platform, this stage, where we'll be able to connect with other larger companies, because this is not a secret, but it's not really talked about that often. But when you go to the large companies like Toyota and Pepsi and companies like that, and you say, I played basketball back in the day, and we got this organization, and could you support us in some way? They always look at you like, hey, you're trying to hustle them. I mean, they don't tell you that, but that's the way they look at you. And we just have that because, and a lot of it is our fault. A lot of it is that a lot of our guys have made money and they mismanaged it. They didn't do anything with it, and they did get broke. So that kind of follows. That's a bad rap on all of us, and that's the way a lot of the people in corporate America look at former ball players. And if you don't have anything to show them that you're doing, that they can sink their teeth into, you just you're wasting your time. But when you can go there and you can say, this is what we're doing, this is what we've done. And just this past week, for an example, I teamed up with a guy that has a tremendous program where we went to 3 schools last week here locally. and we presented. One of the schools we went to, we presented to the football team, and these were all African American. These were all African American boys, young men. And what we're trying to, the purpose of it is the police department accessed our support and helping them to go in and develop a better community relationship with the community, especially the Black community. And they had identified 3 areas in Fort Worth, this is in Fort Worth, Texas, where the crime was the highest among, Blacks, and one of the areas was Hispanic. And so the way we did it, I'm not gonna go into the in depth about the program, but I was truly impressed with first of all the young men, the students that was a part of this program, and the questions they asked, and the interactions that they did. But what they didn't know is that about 10 of the individuals that was in the meeting, was in the group with us. And these groups, we went from 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the evening, 2 days in a row. 10 of the people in there were police officers, and they didn't know it. And at the end of the last day, the second session, we sent the police out about an hour before the meeting ended. And when they came back in, they had on their uniform. And you should have seen the look on these kids' face, because they had no idea that they were talking to police. And these were some serious conversations about the state of our country today and what's going on. And they were talking to police about this, how they felt about it, how scared they were, how afraid they are to, when they see a police, let alone be stopped by one. And so now you might, what was the purpose of that? Well, it was a way. And by the way, the police officers that were in this meeting volunteered to be there. It was really their day off. They volunteered to come to try to improve community relations between police and community, and especially communities of color. And so the second day at the last school we attended, which was Dunbar High School in Fort Worth, Texas, we asked the kids that morning, if you were able to speak to a city official, who would you want to speak to? They said the police chief. So one of the police officers, they don't know they're police officers, went out and called the police chief and said, hey, these kids want to talk to you. Well, that was a win-win for him, and a good segue for him to come in. If it's nothing else, it's a good conversation to say, hey, I went out and talked to these kids, and you know how that goes. I think the man, he was sincere. He answered most of their questions in a satisfactory way to me that they asked him, and they asked some very tough questions. And so that's those are the kinds of things we're trying to do. We're trying to indoctrinate our kids to understand what you need to do to stay alive. Because when you're out there with a police officer by yourself, we know how that ends up a lot of times. And so a lot of our kids don't understand those dynamics, and they start talking when they should just be listening. That's just the way it is. A lot of people don't like to hear you say that, but that's the truth. And the reason I know this, part of my career was in education. I retired from the Fort Worth Independent School District, and I worked at one time as an area advisor. I was over a pyramid of schools, and headed up by the high school, middle school, 6th grade center, and about 10 elementary schools. And I worked with the police officer, and I saw how kids talk to the police. And when you're out there by yourself, you don't have anybody to vouch for you. That's not good. You're going to end up losing that battle every time. And so that's what we were just trying. We were trying to get both sides to understand. And the police know that they need to change, their method of policing. They know that they need to understand that every time you hear somebody talking loud, that doesn't mean that they're getting ready to beat somebody up. That just might be the way they talk, loud. They need to know more about our characteristics. I think that's why so many times they're so quick to pull the trigger, is that they don't understand that they're afraid. They come into the situation afraid. And if you that way, you have no business being a police officer. So all of these things were discussed. And then it was highlighted. We had some guys that come in from the NFL that live here locally. We had a guy that played for the Raiders. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right now, but he did. He was a pretty couple of years. He had some outstanding careers with the Raiders. LaDainian Tomlinson, who lives in the area, he came out, was fantastic, talking to the kids, told his story. We had several others that former NFL players that came in and spoke to the youth. So that's just a synopsis of the things that I have on my spirit that we can use this platform. And one thing about basketball, football, whatever, so many of these kids are so inundated with basketball that they think that they go into the league. I mean, I heard that in the hallways all the time, going to the league. And, you know, their chances are about as good as Slim and none. And Slim just left town. You know, we know they're not gonna, you know, that is over the entire existence. It's been less than 5,000 guys to play. So, I mean, you know, so that's not gonna happen, you know, normally. So anyway, just trying to give you a brief synopsis of some of the stuff that we do, use our platform for, and we're going to continue to be doing more of this, and the more money that we can, you know, raise to do programming, the more we'll be able to do. We do a hunger drive every year where this year I teamed up with a local grocery chain here, and they gave us about $5,000 worth of food to give away at Thanksgiving time. Gave a bunch of turkeys away, and then I asked for all of the trimmings that go with the turkey meal. So we were able to give out like over 100 families that particular day. So at any rate, that's a brief synopsis of the NBRPA and what we are about. And we do still have a platform that when we had our golf tournament, we sold out. We had a spot for 144 golfers. The golfers came that morning. It was pouring down rain. They came in and they waited for tea time at 12 o'clock. Started raining about 10:30, and the rain delayed us a little bit. Didn't end until about 8:30 that night, and all of those people stayed the whole time. And that's the magnetism that old athletes have. So we do still have some value, you know, and we have more value when we put ourselves together. That's when we really have value. And so I just wish more of our guys understood that platform, because National does, and you know, but they have us all collectively, and so they can sell national sponsorship. They can get Wells Fargo, they can get Wintrust Bank in Chicago to give them $200,000 or $300,000 to do programming for us that most of us can't even use, because man, you know, we old. You know, we don't want no job now, you know. So, but anyway, I hope I haven't rambled too much here. I just want to give you a little bit of context on who we are and what we do, and that's what the NBRPA is about, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy community service. I tell people all the time, you know, I'm already past what I've been promised in years on this earth. So every day that I wake up is a bonus. And every bit of the platform that I have that I can use to serve somebody else, that's what I want to do. Because when I go to sleep, when I fall asleep, that's the end of it. What I had, I can't use it anymore. It's gone. So if I didn't do anything with it while I was here, it's gone. It's dead with me. So that's the way I look at it. I you know, sometimes I get a little weary, you know, because you don't get the support that you feel that you should. And it's simply because guys just don't understand the meaning of giving, the meaning of serving, you know. And when you serve, things come to you that you never even dreamed about. But you got to get out there. You got to get out there where those things are. And if you don't do that, you stay at home or go to your same little old little places all the time, you know, nothing is going to come to you there. You're going to dream a lot, but when you wake up, you're going to find out it was just a dream. But when you get out here and you mingle with people and you tell people what you're doing, it resonates with a lot of people, and they'll join in. You know, so that's what drives me every day right now. I'll shut up now, and if you guys want to talk about anything in particular, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I'm gonna go around the panel and see if anybody have any questions or comments. I'm gonna start with Galaxy Note 9. I don't know who you are, but
Oh, sorry, I just forgot to change the name. I was just gonna say, amazing, work and contribution that you're doing, giving back, and I was gonna say, great job. That's all I got.
Thank
okay.
you so much. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Sister
I appreciate
Aziza. That's a regular of ours, my niece, Sister Aziza.
it.
All right,
Thank you so much, sister.
Brother Doctor. Question, comment?
No questions right now. An outstanding job, man.
Okay. Okay, Professor Amin Ra. You gotta unmute. Professor Amin Ra, you have to unmute.
Again, I just want to say asante sana to Brother Davis for coming on and sharing his wealth of knowledge and experience working with retired players in the NBA, which is a needed and very noble thing to do. And they got the right person for it with your mannerism and your in-depth desire to work with the community. I just have a question. Does Marlon Wiley work with you?
All the time. That's my number one man.
I taught him at Cal State, and he's one. He helped us out a lot out here in the community when he was in the NBA.
Yeah.
He helped
Marlon
sponsor the Black Consciousness Conference.
Right.
Beautiful
Marlon
brother.
is a phenomenal young man. I mean, it's one Marlon.
yeah. All right. The other thing is that you said you was drafted by both Chicago Bulls and the Kentucky Bulls and the Kentucky Colonels. And that was you went with the ABA.
Right.
At that time. That's before they had merged. I think they merged in the 70s. And you played with the colored balls. Dr.
Yes, sir.
J.
Red, white, and blue.
I think Artis Gilmore, didn't he go to the ABA too?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and a few other people. Because I went down to Florida to recruit him for Long Beach years ago, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But anyway, when you say Retired Players Association, what is the criteria to be a retired player? I mean, how many years you have to play? Is there any requirements, or you just say if I play 1 year, I can become a retired?
Yeah, you can play 1 year. Well, I think that's a requirement. You have to play at least 1 year. Right.
Okay then. And the other thing is, what is there dues from the players?
Yeah, you can actually. It is. You can become a platinum member. I am a platinum member, and yes, that's a one-time lump sum of money. It used to be $2,500, but I didn't get in on that one. It went up to $3,500, and then the other is that you can pay $250 a year to dues, $250 a year, and from that. They have like on the 8th, 10th, 8th, 9th, 10th, next month, the National is going to bring all the players out to Las Vegas. And we're going to partake of the Summer League. If you want to do that, go to Summer League games. And so that's a benefit. They pay for the hotel. Now you have to buy your flight out. You have to get your flight there, but they pay for everything else. You basically don't have to buy any more food because they provide, normally we're not having any meetings on the one that we're going to have next month. They just bringing us out for because of the the shutdown. They're just bringing us out for a gathering because we didn't do anything at all last year. So
that's the NBA Summer League.
no, the NBA is not doing this. This is our NBRPA national office is the one.
I'm talking about they're
yeah,
bringing
the
out
NBA
there.
Summer League. Yeah,
But,
the Summer League. It will be going on when we are there.
Okay, and that's when y'all sign autographs and do different things and projects. Because Spencer Haywood's out in Vegas.
Yes, yeah, that's where Spencer
Yeah.
lives. Spencer lives there.
Okay, now you say you have a national association, then you have chapters. How many chapters y'all have?
We got 13 chapters in 13 different NBA cities.
Okay. Now, y'all actively trying to get more chapters or?
Yeah, I mean, ideally they would like to have a chapter in, really the chapters are built according to where the players are. Like here in Dallas, we got a bunch of people. Most of the people that come play here in Dallas, they don't leave. They end up staying here. So we have like close to 50 guys that live in the Dallas area that we have access to. All of them are not a part of our chapter. I mean, they can be, but they don't come. A lot of the younger guys, they pay their money up front. When they first come into the league, they pay. As a matter of fact, the NBA has they have a orientation camp for a week, and they encourage these guys during that time to join the NBRPA, and they would do it like Marlon. Marlon joined when he first came to the Mavericks. I mean, when he started with the Mavericks, no, I don't know. Marlon came here, what, about 92, 91, 92? He joined when he came in the league. He joined the NBRPA, and he joined as a platinum member because he paid all of his money at one time. But they were making money then. They were making a lot more money than we were making.
Okay, then, yeah. And then from that, so what about Alvin Hayes? Did he ever become a part of it out of Houston?
Alvin Hayes is a part of the Houston chapter. I really don't know how involved he was. I do know that he attended some of the functions. Moses was the lead guy down there because Moses was
Malone.
Moses Malone. Moses was a guy that always shared his platform with everybody else. A very humble guy. He started in ABA, came out of high school. He started in ABA. And so Moses still had value when he passed on. I mean, he's still working for the NBA. Moses' phone was still ringing. And I don't know if it was just the name Moses or what, but his name resonated with a lot of people. And so he was of great value to the Houston chapter. And they lost a great bit of energy when Moses passed away. They still are viable, but they're nothing where they were when Moses was there.
Now, as a association, a retired players association, y'all offer credit union services, health benefits?
No. We right now we have there's a young fellow. He's president of the Las Vegas chapter, and he's also a national board member. His moniker is Junkyard Dog, but his name is Jerome Williams. And Jerome got connected with Alabama State University, which is a historically Black university, and they started giving out scholarships, and they used our organization and our chapters to give those scholarships out to. About 5 years ago, we gave out close to $200,000 in scholarship money to various historically Black universities, to 4 students from the Dallas area. And so in Chicago, they gave out a ton of money up there, historically Black universities, to about 4 or 5 students there. I mean, these were full college rides for a couple of the students. And there's some qualifications that the students have to go through. They write a resume. They do several other exercises to qualify, you know, and then they're judged, and then whoever's picked get the scholarship. And providing that they, you know, met their high school, you know, all of their accreditation. So through that, we were able to give out scholarships to kids, and we've done that for about the past 4 years. New York got some scholarships, Dallas got some scholarships, Jerome gave out some scholarships because he headed it up. So that's my next move, is to try to generate enough money to start giving out financial aid to deserving students in the area.
Yeah, and those are athletic scholarships or academic?
Well, it's just, you know, if you can get accepted to the university, if they accept your grades, your high school grades, then we have no other. As long as you can get accepted, we give you. Yeah.
Are the recipients referred by players or
Yeah.
referred by coaches?
No. We go to the schools. We go to the schools and we ask them to give us a list of students. And then the students have a choice whether they want to go through the regimen that they have to go through to even qualify. So,
what is that regimen?
Well, you know,
what do y'all make them do?
Well, they have
what
to
do y'all require them to do?
They require them to, like, I think the one where we did here, they had to write like a poem, essay, and stuff like that. You know, okay. I wasn't in on I was in on it. I sent the criteria to Lincoln. They came from Lincoln High School. All these students came from Lincoln High School here in Dallas. So okay. We gave out 4 scholarships that day. One young lady got $200,000. The others were considerably less than that. But the young lady got that amount of money. Okay. The other question is, so about, you got 13 chapters. Which one you think have the biggest membership? It was Houston. And Houston? Yeah, but they've changed. The guy that was president down there, he stepped down, and there's Mo Evans now is the president of the Houston chapter. And I know Mo will do a great job, but Major Jones had been the president for a lot of years. And as I said, they were well received in Houston. They were had some synergies with the Rockets, and so they were the top chapter for a lot of years. Used to be LA. LA had a Lucius Allen at one time was the president of the LA chapter, and they were doing some good things out there. I wasn't really that involved at that time, but I heard about it. But it soon you know, something happened. I don't know what happened. But I would say right now, Houston probably is in the running. I would have to say right now, Dallas is probably leading the pack. And I'm not being you know, overly generous to myself. I'm just speaking the truth, you know. Do players, we saw you sent out information about your organization to all the players. Right. I got a quick question. You know, Ice Cube then started this 3-on-3, and most of it is retired players. Are y'all involved in that? Yeah, we have been. Of course, they didn't do anything last year, but they started back this year already. Yeah, they're playing. They're gonna play all the games in Las Vegas and New Orleans. As a matter of fact, I have a little bit of a role with that through another guy that is providing a service to the big 3. He's providing health and wellness to them, you know, helping them to stay healthy and giving them treatments and stuff like that. It's called New Energy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a young man. He's in Northern California. And he also has been very active with our national office and doing a lot of stuff with us. As a matter of fact, he came down to our golf tournament and brought about 10 guys with him. And we provided massages at the hotel where our guests were staying. And then that Monday morning at the golf tournament, he went out and set up in the clubhouse. And this just goes to show you, I'll just kind of tell you, when your spirit leads you to do something, you don't let Ray tell you you can't do it. So one of my board members, when they got wind that Bruce was coming here, the young man that's the CEO of this operation, his name is Bruce Nash. They said, well, I don't think we need him, Well, Bruce was coming here because of his relationship with me. And they tried to talk me out of saying, well, I don't think, that's gonna work. I don't know when they would be able to do it, da 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 da. And so 24th of May, Monday morning, we get down to the clubhouse, and it's raining outside, and everybody's standing in line in there to get a massage. Bruce had his whole team in there giving massages. And so finally the people, someone came up to me and said, hey, Willie, they want to know if they can pay, if they can give a donation for these massages. I said, well, yeah, you can always give a donation. I put my preacher suit on then. Preacher always looking for a donation. But I don't think they ever gave any, we weren't charging anything. It was just an addition that we put, that we added to the, Bruce provided that to me. And I thought it would be a good look because I had seen it before. When you haven't seen something, you don't know what it looks like. And my board hadn't seen that, so they didn't know what it looked like. But Bruce comes to All-Star Weekend. He got people lined up, people trying to cut in line to get massages.
Do you provide counseling and or classes for young players to prepare for retirement, especially those with long contracts?
That is a wonderful question you asked, Professor. That's a great question. We'd love to, but the NBA don't want us that. They don't want us that close to the young fellas. They want to pay them all the money they signed for. They gonna pay them every penny of it. And then when they leave, if they don't do nothing with it, they through with it. So they don't want us. Well, I don't know how. Let me be a little bit.
I'm with you on that. I got another.
Let me be. No. We can't. We don't do that. We'd love to. Okay. And you know what? Guys would not. We would tell them the truth. We would tell them the truth because they don't know.
Well, a lot of cats with long time contracts, they don't get their money till they retire. I mean, some got guaranteed, but a lot of them, deferred payments and deferred money and, and things of that nature. They sign these multi-million-dollar contracts and income in stocks and income in, dividends that they get paid, or they set their money up in the future to avoid taxes, I heard. Is that correct?
You know what? I can't say. I really don't know. I just know that a lot of guys, you know what I look at? I look at the big three, and I look at me. If I made $50 million playing basketball, and I'm in my 30s, why would I want to go out and play in the big three in my 30s? Mm-hmm. Do you love basketball that much? Why would I want to go play in the big three if I got tons of money? That's what I see, Professor.
So
I see guys, wait a minute. I see guys that just retired and they playing in the big three. Man, when you're a boy, you act like a boy. When you come a man, you act like a man. You ought to be trying to grow those millions of dollars that you got. You can't. What they getting paid to play in the big three would be meal money to them, what they were making when they were playing in the NBA. And I'm not gonna call any name, but I've been been right there in the midst.
Well, there's a study out that most players are broke after 3 years of stop playing. Many of them. But they're going back to when they play in the playoffs, that's postseason.
Right.
Do players get a separate check for that?
Yeah.
Okay, a game check, I heard.
No, it's not a game check. You get winners gets, you get whatever round you go to. If you lose in the first round, you get the team that lost in the first round. They get playoff money for playing in the first round. And the higher you go, the more the money, the bigger the money get. I don't know how much they get anymore, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah, each player. That's why they want to get to the postseason. Ain't about no trophy.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, And then the All-Star game.
Uh-huh.
Are you well received by the NBA as far as being a part of the All-Star game? That's a big game. This one that just passed, and do they allow you to get the retirement signatures or special plays, tickets, all of that?
We have access to All-Star tickets. We have to purchase some though.
Mm.
Yeah, we have access to them, but we have to buy the ticket. You know, in a nutshell, retired players get very little support from the NBA. Now, the NBA supports the national organization. The NBA supports the national organization, but we don't get that doesn't trickle down to us. However, you got your own platform, you got your own resume, you got another platform. That, man, I'm telling you, you can build it to whatever you want to do. You can take it as high as you want to go, as creative as you can be. Your creativity limits.
That's what's keeping y'all afloat, is y'all creativity.
Yeah.
You know, in a golf tournament, I got two quick questions. On your golf tournament, do you take them from different states? Do you have them in different states?
No. This is my first one. That was here. I wouldn't dare go.
It was in Dallas.
Yeah.
It was in Dallas. All right. Yeah. Second, because I know that golf tournaments is not just about the players signing up to play. It's about sponsorship.
Yeah.
The 10,000 for the hole in one.
Right.
Blah blah blah, a car for this and all of that.
Yeah.
But sponsoring the long drive and all of that. So you have pretty good support for that.
All I can say to you, Professor, is that we national came down to our golf tournament. They were blown out of the water because they didn't expect to see what they saw.
Mm-hmm.
They did not expect to see what they saw. And, here again, there's always room to get better. And one thing about it, and you guys probably got more wisdom than I do, but here's one thing you can count on. When we are afforded thoughts from our Creator of something that we can do, you can't let anybody tell you or talk you out of it. Middle of March, one of my board members called me and said, Willie, I think we need to cancel this thing, maybe try to do it in September. At that time, we'd raised about $17,000. And matter of fact, when I got that text earlier that evening, and I remember sending an email out to the whole board. I have 9 advisory board members. At 1:30 in the morning, because I wanted that email to be on their desk the next morning when they turn their phone on or the computer, whatever. I wanted to see that email. And I said, fellas, we're moving forward. I said, I didn't have too much, but I did have a little something I hadn't shared. I said, I have some things going that I haven't shared with you yet. But my thing was, you got to step out there sometime and go with your own spirit. And that's what I did. And I could have easily said, you're right. Okay, let's do it. Let's just fold the tent and we'll try it in September. But one of my advisory board members sent an email back that morning. He said, Willie, and he had gotten 2 sponsorships, one for $2,500 and another one for $15,000. He said, Willie, if you quit now, I'm out. And he was one of the guys I was depending on to play. And so that gave me all the encouragement that I needed. That I got one guy that's with me, And so I moved with that. And so we didn't get the big sponsorships, But I've already started, you know, and when the thing was over, I was so tired. One of my advisory board chair called me the next day and he said, no, not the next day, maybe the 2 or 3 days after the event. And he said, well, Willie, we need to start planning for next year. I said, oh no. I said, not me. I said, no. I said, kind of for next year. I said, I don't even know if it's going to be a next year. I said, man, I'm trying to recuperate from this. And then he, you know, so, you know, a couple of days passed and a couple of nuggets fell down in my head. And just a couple of weeks ago, no, last week, my wife and I took a ride Friday morning and I ended up out at the hotel where we stayed. And I ended up talking to the lady that had been very generous to our out-of-town guests and gave us an exceptional rate for out-of-town guests. And I got to talking to her, and she got all revved up about it because she saw it. She saw the people that was there. She know what happened, and so she's all on board. She's got another group that she want to bring in with us for next year. So you know, I'm already going in that direction right now. You know, I haven't started any dynamics or any logistics yet, but we'll do so. You know, it is my plan to do much better next year than we did this year, and we did good this year. So.
All right, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're welcome. Good meeting you, man.
Good
You said
meeting
you
you. Tell
talked to
Marlon I say hello.
Okay, I sure tell it. Marlon tells me all the time about everybody, man. He tells me about his days out there, you know, Long Beach and his, you know, I heard him call Rico's name before I ever met Rico. You know, I mean, before I ever met you. You know, just Marlon is the dude, man. That this guy, he is a consummate family man. He's stingy. You can tell him I said it. He'll squeeze the nickel till it hollers. You know, you know.
Matt,
I think
hey,
he got the first money he signed for. He got some of it. But Marlon is a good man. I love Marlon. He's my guy. We met in New Orleans one
So,
night, and
this is recording.
yeah. No, that's okay. I don't tell Mo this. Mo know I tell him this, but yeah, I tell him this. I'm not saying anything I don't say to him. But
Yeah.
Mo, I'm telling you, it pays off. Mo is fine, okay?
Yeah, he's
You know?
excellent. Excellent
Yeah.
individual.
Mo is fine. I mean, you know, I'm talking about financially, Mo is fine. So, and I admire him for it. I just tease him all the time, you know. He tells
He
me to
worked
go
with the
buy a
Mavericks for a little
911.
while.
Huh?
He worked with the Mavericks for a little while with the
Yeah,
players.
2 years he worked for the Magic. Worked for the Magic. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a player development coach for the Orlando Magic, worked in the front office for the Orlando. Marlon got 16 years in the NBA. I introduced him somewhere not long ago. We were talking to somebody. And I was telling him how unusual this man's career is. He got 6 years of service in the NBA. And then the rest of it is coaching and in the front office. How many guys got their kind of resume? I'm talking about brothers. Not many. 16 years and 8 of them as a coach, 3 of them in the front office. I mean, you know, but he's a good dude, man. Marlon, and one thing about him, you know, we made a deal. Whatever I need Mo for, something Mo don't like to do, I don't bother. When he said, Will, I can't do that, I ain't gonna do that. I don't bother. I said, okay, Mo, fine. Because I know when I need him, he's gonna be there. You know,
We had Craig Hodges. We had Craig Hodges on our show once.
Right.
And he in his experience in the NBA.
Yeah. Well, man, I tell you, hey, man, it's been anything you want me to end up with?
Let me just ask Brother Doctor if he have a question, and then we could close after that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Brother Doctor, did you come up with a question or comment?
Oh no, just everything is very interesting, man. This is like I said, this is another world, man. I'm in my own bubble, and hearing this, man, I'm just it's interesting, man. You know, I didn't know they existed, and the issues, man. You know, trying to raise funds. And I kind of understand that, man. You go to corporations, corporations, you got all these people out going to corporations asking for money for the organizations. So I kind of understand they kind of want to check people, but it's interesting, man. Interesting situation, interesting organization. And I'm just sad, man, that all the money the NBA makes, that now let me you know what let me ask one question. Now, are other leagues like this, NFL, NHL, do they have any type of retirement thing? Like, because I
I
don't know
think
what the
that
retirement plan is.
I think the NBA and baseball probably have the best salary structures and the best retirement structures of any other sport. Football, more or less, whatever you make doing football, I mean, the guaranteed money that you get up front, that's the only thing you guaranteed in football. You can sign a $50 million contract and they can say, we're going to give you 30 million of this up front. You might not ever get that other 20. That's just on paper. Well, so the only money that you get there from the football is what you get up front. I mean, now if you play out the contract, but very few players do. I'll give you an example. Emmitt Smith, when he was playing here in Dallas, his last contract was for $50 million. They gave him $15 million up front. They traded him the next year. So what happened to the rest of the money? He got $15 million and he got the salary that he was to make for that year. And they traded him to the Arizona Cardinals. So that's the story with the NFL. In basketball, whatever you sign for, that's what you're gonna get. I mean, they gotta pay you all year. It's guaranteed. No matter what happens, unless you mess it up somewhere, some kind of way where they can get out of, honoring your contract. But whatever you sign for, they gotta pay you. Micah Finley, when he left Dallas owed him $55 million, I think. And he went to San Antonio. And they paid him another $1 million, and he went out there and won a championship. And I think he went back the next year and won another one. And he's still getting paid by Dallas. He's right here in Dallas right now, working for Dallas. So all of the money that you signed for in the NBA, they got to pay you. So it's the structure is entirely different in the NBA, and I understand that baseball is similar to that. But here again, a fool and his money soon parts. So if you don't know how to use that money, they start, the baby mamas and God, and baby mamas and cars and jewelry and all of that stuff. None of it is tangible, none of it is all intangible. Doesn't have any asset. I mean, it does have asset, but you're not gonna get what you paid for. So, that's just what our guys need to, fellows need to understand. They need to understand how money operates, how it works. I didn't know. It took me a long time to understand money and how to save money. And it's a mindset, that you have to develop. And you have to know that everything that you make isn't yours. And you have to take care of what pay that's not yours, pay it to the Internal Revenue Service. And you look on the site, they tell you how many guys that made tons of money and they got nothing now. I see a lot of guys. I see a lot of guys now that up until about 3-4 years ago, Chris Paul and LeBron James, through the current Players Association, got insurance for all of the older players. But prior to that, if you had two bad wheels when you left basketball, you're gonna have two bad wheels if you don't have the money to get them fixed till you get to be 65. That's a long time to walk around on two bad wheels, your legs. And and I see guys. I'm not talking about anybody. I'm not putting anybody down. But I saw guys, man, barely could walk. And you wonder, why won't they get themselves taken care of? They can't. They don't have the money. Don't have no insurance. Go to the hospital and you can't pay for them. So that's just, it's a sad story. It's kind of depressing sometimes.
Well, let me ask you this:
Uh-huh.
would it be fair when these guys or anybody go into professional sports that like you said, they signed a $50 million, $100 million contract to be structured where they get paid that over 30 years. Would that
Yeah,
be kind of nice? Where because 50 million or 100 million is, you know, spread out over 30 years or 25 years. At least you're getting something for those years. Uh,
yeah. Well, you
I
know
don't
what?
know.
I
Just to
imagine.
think. Yeah.
I do know that some teams they will restructure if the player is agree if he agrees to this, they will if they trying to get a particular player and they're over the salary cap. I think Dallas did Dirk Nowitzki that way. One of his last couple of years here, where they were trying to get players to put together another championship team, and I'm sure they deferred some money for him, you know. And I don't know. I mean, I guess they could, but I could get my money and I could defer it myself, I mean, and if you understand money, uh, you would, and I think that's the mistake that a lot of guys make. They hire these guys as the agents, and they telling them, giving them an allowance and how much money they can spend a month, and they got access to your money. Man, I wouldn't trust nobody that much, with millions of dollars. And I hear stories all the time where these guys, changing agents, and then the agent sue them for getting another agent, and because they had a contract with them, and that's what goes with your money. It doesn't take when it starts getting away from you. When you know anything, it's gone. So I don't know. I just think, to me, I just think the simple way is the best way, and that is invest your money in markets where you know that chances are you're not going to lose it. You know, and there are markets there that's pretty safe. Municipal bonds, CDs. I mean, CDs don't pay no money now. But I'm not saying if you don't know how to do the stock market, I wouldn't recommend that. But I'm just saying there are other investment opportunities when you have accessible, expendable money that you can invest in that will give you a yield. What about buying property, man? Look at Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon down in Houston went into depressed areas of Houston and bought up every piece of land he could find for almost nothing and just paid cash for it. And then later on, after he retired from basketball, they started building drugstores in these communities, and he owned the land. He made $100 million in 1 year selling land that he had bought. He didn't owe no money on it. So, I mean, real estate, stuff like that's one of the safest investments you can delve off into. Real estate. You won't, if you buy right and get somebody to manage that for you, you're not gonna lose any money. You're gonna always sell it for more than you purchased it for. Those are just simple ideas. I'm sure there are a lot of other ways to make money. But when you get connected with the fast money schemes and the fast talkers and the people that know those schemes, that's how guys get duped into thinking they're gonna make a lot of money over a short period of time. And when they look around, their money's gone. So I don't know. Safe routes. That's what I would do. One of the safest routes would be, some of it would be, if you paying me $30 million a year, I'd buy me a safe that can't burn up. Put about 10 and then forget I even put it in. I mean, it's a lot of ways you can keep your money, and these guys, they just don't do it. They got, how many houses can you live in at one time? Some of them buy 5, 6 homes, 8 or 10 cars, just
I got
waste.
one other question. Now, your professional opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing a lot of foreign players
Mm-hmm.
coming into the NBA.
Right. Hmm.
20 years from now, what the percentage of national born players you think would be in the NBA compared to the foreign born players, man? Do you think the NBA will probably try to get more foreign born players and do away with, you know, most of the African-born players here?
I won't say that. I won't say that. I will say this, brother. Your observation is on point, and there's a reason behind. You know, I'm sure there's some reasoning behind that, and I think, as with a lot of other things, I think there's a lot of people sleeping on that. These guys come over and they play, and they don't, they don't raise a lot of sand, and they don't make a lot of demands. And they just play, you know. And I don't know if that'll change down the road, but you got a point. That's all I can say about that right now. You have a point. I've noticed that, and I've heard others talk about the same thing. Yeah. And it's only so many slots on a team. So you got a point. Let's watch that one. Let's put a pin in that one and watch it. That's something that I have an opinion about it, but I'm not on this platform. I don't think I'm going to express it right now, but I have an opinion about that. And sometimes when we realize what's happening, it's too late, you know. So.
Right. Last question, and I got them kind of late. You're talking about the ABA and that between the NBA. I just had one question. I saw a special, and they were doing a special on I think his name Pee Wee Kirkland, Rutgers Park. And I just saw what he was saying. He didn't want to go to the NBA because he was making more money on the streets.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, I read that story.
I don't know. Yeah. So it was, you know, was that low money? Wasn't that much money back then, huh, with ABA?
No.
I know you said it was
wasn't.
you know, the choice you made ABA over the NBA or something. I got in kind of late, so I kind of missed that.
Well,
so
yeah. I mean, at the time, the NBA really was predominantly white. When I came out of college, you had maybe 2 or 3 teams that might have had 5 brothers. I think Detroit had a number of brothers on their team, Boston. But most of the team, the majority of the team was you had more whites than you did brothers on the team. And I just felt it was a new league, and there would be more opportunity to play, and of course, you know, I don't look back at anything with disgust. But that was my irrational thinking at that time. And that's what I did. And we weren't making any money. I mean, the average salary then, the top players, excluding Julius and guys like that, Artist when he came out, Dan Itzel, Spencer Haywood, wasn't making any money when he first started. He played with the Denver Rockets, but he only played there a year, and then the Supersonics, you know, bid it for him. I mean, he went there, but he had to file a lawsuit to be able to play. That's a long. You ever read that story about Spencer Haywood?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, he's the reason behind the big money today, because he sued the NBA and he won. And that's one of the reasons why he didn't make it to the Hall of Fame for a long time, because he sued and he won. Connie Hawkins, the Hawk could have played anywhere, you know. Connie Hawkins, I don't know if you ever heard of him, but Hawk was something else. So all of these guys came out of New York. But, you know, the average salary in the ABA was like $15,000 a year back when I played. $15,000. That's meal money now for a week. And so, but you know, that was then, and everything has a season, you know, and I'm just thankful that for the experience. And here's the kicker right here, and I end with this. What I did way back then is relevant today, and I'm still using it. And it has value, it has worth, and I'm still using it today. So that's what matters right there. You have to have a little bit of creativity to bring it alive, but it's still a platform that a lot of people want to be a part of today. And you know, not when I say they want to be a part of it, you know, you get a bunch of guys together, everybody want to come over and, hey, somebody know you. at my golf tournament, I had about 15 players, former basketball players there. And there was a guy, I told the guy, I said, "Say, man, that morning we was waiting for the rain to stop. We was sitting in the clubhouse full of men. I don't know any of these people. I know very few of them. So I told the guys, I said, "Say, man, get up and go around and meet some of the people, man. Introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are, where you're from, who you played for." So I got Chris Morris was sitting there. And I said, "Come on, Chris, come on, meet some people, man." And you know, Chris, do you guys remember Chris Morris? He used to like, he's a big guy. He used to like shoot 3-pointers. He was really good 3-point shooter. And this is a fairly young guy. I mean, he's probably in his 50s, early 50s. And so I introduced him to a couple of tables, and so I went over to another table and I said, "Hey guys," I said, "I want you guys to meet a guy that never saw a 3-pointer that he didn't like." I said, "This is me, Chris Morris." And this little guy, he was a young guy, almost jumped out of his seat, turning around so he could see him. Now, they never would have known that was Chris Morris had I not introduced him. He doesn't look the way he looked when he was playing basketball, you know? So that's what I'm saying. You got to capitalize. You can't get in that environment and just sit there on your hands. You gotta get up and talk to people. Let them find out a little bit about you. Talk about them. Find out about them. You never know where the conversation is gonna go. I met a man on a hole out there at the golf course. He was one of my sponsors, and his company name was on the tent that we had up for him. And I called him over. I said, what? I never heard of that. It was a furniture store. I said, "Never heard of that." And he said, "Oh, you know, he told me about himself." And I said, "You know, give me one of your cards." I said, I'll give you a call later." And I called him. And that guy has already introduced me. Last week I was on a Zoom call with a group of men that he's a part of, and all of them independently wealthy. And I got a chance to tell them what I do and present an opportunity to ask them for support if this is something that they, in their benevolence, that they see that they could help with. I would welcome that. And I've heard back from one of the guys. So you got to talk to people. Guys want to sit around like they still got a resume. You know, don't nobody know you, man. If you've been gone 10 years, don't nobody know you. Unless you Shaq or Julius or somebody like that. They don't know who you are. You don't look the same, you know? And so anyway, that's just one of the fallacies that we have, is that we have a tendency to want to stay back where we were. And I don't look in the rearview mirror. That's back there just for me to glance in every once in a while and see what's behind me. I'm looking at the windshield. That's where it actually is, in front. So anyway, guys, hey man, I enjoyed it. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I really didn't have anything organized to talk about. I just thought we would just have an informal conversation. So
it was beautiful, brother. It was beautiful.
yeah. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Professor,
Yeah.
pleased to meet you, man. I've heard all about you. I've heard Marlon talked about you, but I didn't recall your name, but he talked about you. And Rico, he told me some stories about Rico that I'm not going to, if he'll send me something in the mail, I won't repeat them. But if he doesn't,
Hey, my wife is sitting right here.
No, I'm joking. I'm only joking. No, he talked about all you guys. He told me about he gave me his upbringing there in Compton. And
Long Beach. Yeah,
he's Long Beach.
yeah,
he's
Long Beach, wherever he was from, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, his brother also.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I remember Michael. Wow.
Yeah.
I remember him. Yeah. But yeah. So, but no, he's had nothing but glowing things to say about his time there at Long Beach State, and you know how it came about, and the whole story about his, you know, just how everything evolved. So.
Yeah, it's good,
Yes,
bro.
sir.
We appreciate you.
All righty, guys.
And thanks for the insight, bro.
Sure.
Yes,
Thank you so much for having me. I
exceptional
appreciate it.
information. I appreciate it, and hopefully you can come back again and do it again and participate if you like. You're welcome
Alrighty.
anytime.
All right, Rico. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thanks a
All
lot.
right.
God bless. Bye-bye.
All right, each one teach one, and we
All
will discuss more information about next week on Conscious Corner. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
right.